Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu want to destroy Iran's nuclear program. The idea is that Iran should never acquire a nuclear weapon so that militarily Iran never cedes Israeli military dominance that is backed by the American military-industrial complex in the Middle East. But wars have unintended consequences. What started as an attempt to denuclearize Iran has ended up with Iran militarily wresting the control of the Strait of Hormuz. Consider this. Before Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu started their war on Iran, an average of 138 large oil tankers would pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And now, this traffic at the world's most important choke point has been reduced to a trickle. According to the analysis firm Kepler, just 5 to 6 ships are now transiting per day through the Strait of Hormuz despite the tenuous ceasefire. And if this ceasefire holds, this number could go up to 15 to 20 tankers before the pre-war transit numbers can be reached. So the Strait of Hormuz is not completely shut as is being widely reported. It is open, but only for ships that belong to nations that are not at war with Iran. According to the International Maritime Organization, an estimated 2,000 to 3,000 ships at this moment are stranded in the waters near the Strait of Hormuz. But there is something fundamental that has changed ever since Donald Trump and Netanyahu started this war on Iran. Before the war, Iran did not militarily dominate and control the Strait of Hormuz. The American military presence in the GCC nations through their military bases projected power in this narrow stretch of water. But ever since America and Israel started the war, the GCC nations and the American military bases have sustained some serious damage. Of the 8 permanent American military bases and 11 other major military sites, Iran has targeted every single one of them. The reality of who militarily dominates the Strait of Hormuz has now changed on the ground. And capitalizing on this, Iran is reportedly charging $2 million as a transit charge for safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. When the war broke out, a handful of ships had attempted to cross the Strait of Hormuz by turning off their tracking systems, or what is otherwise known as the automatic identification system, to evade detection from the Iranians. But an incident on the 12th of March changed everything. The American-owned and Marshall Islands-flagged crude oil tanker Safe Sea Vishnu came under attack by an explosive-laden boat after ignoring warnings by the IRGC. The 230-meter oil tanker with 73,976 deadweight capacity suffered some serious damage. 1 Indian crew member was killed. Now, a very limited number of countries have managed to get their oil tankers out of the Strait of Hormuz. Sanctioned tankers and shadow fleet vessels now make up an overwhelming majority of shipping through the strait. Much of the oil coming out of Hormuz has been headed towards Asia, especially China, which is the world's biggest importer of crude oil. According to reports, China, even at the height of this war, managed to get an estimated 12 million barrels of crude oil from the Strait of Hormuz in the first 12 days of the war. That is an average of 1 million barrels of crude oil per day out of the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, according to the Associated Press, some oil tankers even declared themselves to be China-linked for a safe passage. So this is how things stand at the moment. The traffic out of the Strait of Hormuz is down by 95%. And Iran is now dictating who gets safe passage and who doesn't. According to an analysis by Lloyd's, a third of all ships that have managed a safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz are either owned by Iran or have a connection with Iran. Interestingly, the Chinese and the Greek oil tankers come in next. A total of 8 to 9 India-bound tankers have also managed to transit the strait, while another 16 India-flagged vessels with an estimated 433 Indian sailors are said to be waiting to cross the Strait of Hormuz. Some Pakistani and Turkish vessels have also been allowed to pass by Iran. Several Iranian officials have now denied reports that Iran has now turned the Strait of Hormuz into a high-stakes toll booth. But an Iranian lawmaker, Alauddin Burujerdi, claimed on state media that such tolls and fees are being collected depending on who the clients are as part of a new sovereign system reflecting the new reality of the Strait of Hormuz. So how is this being done? Well, at this moment, Iranian authorities are reportedly handling requests for passage from different countries on a case-by-case basis. A controlled corridor has been created by the IRGC, where if a tanker wants safe passage, it must first connect with the operators designated by the IRGC to facilitate safe conduct. Documents such as the ship ID, ownership, cargo, destination and the crew list are then submitted for vetting. These are then carefully checked by the IRGC authorities. Cargo with oil is given priority and the ship then undergoes a layered scrutiny at the Hormuzgan province. A fee of about $2 million per tanker is collected, which roughly translates to an extra charge of about $1 per barrel of oil. The payment is reportedly being taken in Chinese yuan, a move that many experts say is meant to weaken the petrodollar system that has governed all crude oil transactions since 1974. Once cleared, the oil tanker gets a code and instructions on which route to take. As the ship nears the strait, the communication then shifts to VHF radio. The verification tracking system is checked, and once this is done, the patrol boats escort the ship through the narrowest stretch of water. So the Strait of Hormuz is open, but the conditions of the crude oil trade have altered. Large oil tankers that are valued at a whopping $200 to $300 million have witnessed their insurance premiums jump from $600,000 to anywhere from $7 to $9 million in a span of a few weeks. When Donald Trump and Netanyahu ordered for this war to begin on the 28th of February this year, Iran did not control the Strait of Hormuz, but now it does, and it has set up what is being widely referred to as the Tehran toll and is chipping away at the petrodollar, the goose that lays the golden egg for American economic hegemony.